So you've heard about Claude Code, this artificial intelligence that can write, explain, and debug code for you. Maybe you've seen a demo or a video of someone using Claude Code and you've thought to yourself, wow, this looks super powerful, but how do I actually use this for myself? In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I set it up step by step with no need for you to have a coding background. And to do it, we're going to need three primary tools that are going to be super simple to install and set up. The first one is a tool called Microsoft Visual Studio Code, which you can basically think of as a workspace for your coding activities. The second thing we're going to need is a tool called Node.js, which is essentially something that's going to help us run apps. And the third one, of course, is going to be Claude Code, which we can get from Anthropic's website and install using the command line. If all of this stuff is sounding a little complex to you, don't worry, I'm going to explain it in plain English in a way that you can understand. So if you're excited about using AI to build things, but you're a little overwhelmed by the setup, then this is going to be the video for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so switching over to the desktop here, we're going to be installing something called Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Now to get to Microsoft Visual Studio Code, you can use the link in the description for Microsoft Visual Studio Code, or you can just go to Google and search Microsoft Visual Studio, and this is the screen that you're going to want to see. Now, Microsoft Visual Studio Code, or VS Code for short, is an IDE, which stands for an Integrated Development Environment. You can think of this as something that developers use to test, write, and debug code all in one area with all the tools that they need. For our purposes, we're going to be taking Claude Code and the functionality of agentic AI and basically be using it within VS Code to build out whatever we want. The primary benefit being that agentic AI can access our entire desktop and all the files and information that we need all in one place. So to do all that cool stuff, we're going to need to go ahead and download Visual Studio Code. So we're going to want to select this button right here, and alternatively, you can go to code.visualstudio.com/download. Now for this video, I am on Windows, so I am going to select Windows right here. And once we click this button, as you can see up here in the right-hand corner, a download starts for the VS Code user setup. We're going to go ahead and give that a couple seconds and it's going to be done. Once you see this finalized, you're going to want to double click this and open up the VS Code installer. Now we're going to want to go ahead and accept the agreement, which you can read through if you'd like, and go ahead and just click through the next steps so that we can get to the installer. So once we're on this screen, we are at the ready to install screen. You can go ahead and click install, and now the VS Code installation wizard is going to start installing the application on your desktop. After just a few seconds of waiting, VS Code is going to be done installing, so you will see this setup here. You can go ahead and hit Launch Visual Studio Code and click Finish. This is going to open up Visual Studio Code. Now don't get overwhelmed by how this looks. We'll get back to this shortly. All right, now for step 2, we're going to be installing Node.js. So we're going to hop back over to Google and we're going to search for Node.js. When you see this here, you're going to want to search for this website, or if you click the link in the description below, you can go to nodejs.org/en. Now, once we are here on this screen, we're going to want to hit Get Node.js and go to the Windows installer right here. Make sure that your version here is LTS to get the latest version of Node.js, as we're going to need that for Anthropic's installation process. So in order to do this, go ahead and click the Windows installer here, which very similar to step 1, you will see your downloads folder up here open up. We're going to go ahead and see this Node-V22 processing wizard. We're going to double click to open it, and then we're going to go ahead and follow the steps on the setup. Now Node.js is super helpful as it's going to be able to allow applications to run real world applications outside of the browser. And so we're going to go ahead and hit these next options, very similar to how we installed VS Code, and then hit install. Now, once this is done, we'll move on to step 3. And just like that, Node.js is done installing. So we're going to go ahead and click finish, and we are almost halfway done. Now, step 3 is going to be a little bit more involved. We need to do a couple of things, which is going to be signing up for an Anthropic account, downloading and installing Claude Code into our terminal, and then setting it up within VS Code itself. So the first thing that we're going to want to do in order to accomplish this is go back to Google, third time's the charm, and search for Anthropic. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to want to hit the Anthropic homepage, and this will take you to Anthropic's website. It's a great website for all sorts of information. Anthropic is one of the hottest startups right now in this space, so it's a great place to learn a ton about what's going on in the AI world. But aside from that, you're going to want to go to the right box here, which is Try Claude, and then follow this sign up process. Now, the thing with Claude Code specifically, getting this information in the terminal, is you do need to get the pro subscription. So it is $17 $17 per month billed annually, or $20 a month if you do it month to month, but it's absolutely worth it. It's a ton of fun. So go ahead and follow the setup steps and installation. Once you have an Anthropic account, we're going to proceed to the next step. All right, now that you have your Anthropic account, we're going to need a few more things. So the first thing that we're going to need to get is Git, G-I-T. Go ahead and open this up once you search it into Google, and Git is basically going to be something that's super useful for version control. Now, once you hit this download stage, we're going to go ahead and hit this download right here. As always, it's going to show up in our download folder over here, and we're going to want to go ahead and open this up. Once this is here, we'll go ahead and double click this to see the installation wizard. You'll go ahead and see the pop-up, hit yes, select next, next again, 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 and install. Now that this has been installed, we're going to go ahead and hit finish. Now we're going to go back to Anthropic's website, where we're going to want to go to anthropic.com/Claude Code. And on this website, we're going to have this command right here. Now we're going to copy this command, go down to the Windows search bar, search up command prompt, and go ahead and open this window. Now the command prompt is not something that you should be afraid of. In fact, you should be super curious and learn about it, as it is super, super important for all sorts of stuff with agentic AI. Now we're going to go ahead and hit Control V, which is going to paste that command that we just copied into the command prompt. We're going to go ahead and hit enter and give this a few seconds to set up and install everything we need. Now, once this has happened, go ahead and just type Claude, and our Claude Code is set up and ready to go. Now, in this setup process, we're going to have to do a few things, such as connecting it to our Claude account. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So the first thing that this setup process is going to ask us to do is to choose a theme. Let me go ahead and expand this window a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and choose dark mode.
I'm vengeance.
And as you can see, we are then going to be prompted to a login setup. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and choose the Claude account with the subscription. The other option is if you're using API usage billing, which is much more technical than the scope of this video. So for the first one, we're just going to go ahead and hit Claude account with a subscription and hit enter. Once you hit enter, you may see a few pop-ups. Go ahead and hit allow, and over here on this pop-up here, Claude has now prompted me to basically authorize Claude Code to my Claude chat account. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit authorize and allow this to happen. Since I'm already set up and was having the Claude chat window open earlier, it automatically authenticates. So if we hop back over to the Claude Code terminal, now it's saying login successful, press enter to continue. So we will hit enter. Now it's giving us some security notes here saying that Claude can make a mistake. We're going to go ahead and hit enter again. And for this one, we are going to want to trust all of the files. So let's hit enter again. Yes, proceed. So now we have done that, and Claude Code says welcome. This has given us a note that we've launched Claude Code in our home directory. So we're going to give it a second and go to the next step, which is going to be launching a project. So for all intents and purposes, Claude Code has been installed. But for the last part of this video, I'm going to show you a quick example of how we can use Claude Code and set it up real quick. So let's go ahead and jump into Visual Studio Code, where we're going to go ahead and open Claude Code and get to coding. So here on the beautiful default Microsoft Windows desktop, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use Claude Code and start coding. The first thing we're going to want to do anytime we're starting a new project is go ahead and just open a new folder. For this folder, I'm going to go ahead and just call it My Project and hit enter, which we will then have here. I'm going to go ahead and leave this on my desktop. And if you remember in step 1, we installed Visual Studio Code, which is where we're going to make all of the magic happen. Now within Visual Studio Code, we can get rid of Copilot because we've got a better new friend in town, and that's going to be Claude Code. Now, if you can see right here in this little icon, we've got a button that says Run Claude Code. So if you hit this, it's going to go ahead and launch Claude Code, and automatically, if you can see right here, it opens up to our project folder by running Claude. So anytime you want to open Claude in a programmatic way within a terminal, you're going to just type Claude, and it's going to then launch this. And from here, we can basically let the magic happen. If I want to say, hey Claude, go ahead and program a game, we can go ahead and say, hey Claude, program a simple Pong game in my project folder. And by just doing this, we're going to go ahead and hit enter, and Claude is going to start doing its thing using those tokens to then generate a ton of code. And as you can see here, it gets to work. It's going to say, hey, here's the project list that I have. Here's the things that I'm going to do to test it out. And in just a couple seconds, we're going to have a fully functioning game that I can show you. And just like that, all of a sudden, in just a couple of seconds, Claude has generated a bunch of information, and this is all code that is going to build out our game. So I'm going to go ahead and allow it to run, and as we can see, it's going to move on to the next step. Now, as you're kind of working with code and AI projects, as you can see, the My Projects little file explorer over here is starting to get various files into it. We're going to go ahead and hit yes on the next command to allow it to keep running and doing its thing. And in just a couple moments, we're going to have a fully functioning game. So here you can see in the drop downs here that it is created an HTML file with the canvas element, it's implemented game logic, it's added CS styling, and it's now tested the game. So in theory, it's in this pong.html, and we can open it in our browser to go ahead and interact with it. And just like magic, I should be able to tell Claude to open the file in my browser so I can play the game. Go ahead and hit enter, give it a few seconds to think here, and it's starting to run some permissions and scripts. And now that we've given it a few commands to go ahead and open the game, it's asking me which browser I want to use to open the app. We're going to choose Edge, and bang, just like that, we have a game which we can now start to play Pong against a computer by moving our arrow keys.